Welcome to SMBX Speed Interview, where we get to know the faces and people behind the business. I'm your host, Ben Stein, and today we'll be chatting with Aaron of 24 Hour Truck Fix. If you've got questions you want asked in future videos, let our support team know or leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, and let's get started. Aaron, tell me a little bit about yourself. What did you do pre 24 Hour Truck Fix?
Oh, goodness, multitude of things. So I would say I'm 50% corporate, 50% entrepreneur.
Cool.
I started out as a more or less an infrastructure engineer, Microsoft certified system engineer. I started to try and augment my background with understanding not just infrastructure, but software development and the human interaction. Mm-hmm. The idea is people, process, technology. If you get those things right, a business can be extremely successful. So I moved over from technology into a little bit of development over into sales and operations. And that's where, the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Tell me a little bit about your business, and maybe we can start with what problem are you guys solving?
Great question. So the problem that we're solving is pretty unique in the sense that it exists between multiple aspects of the transportation industry. Ideally, the whole industry is fragmented. Each player is a little piece of a larger pie. So the problem that we're trying to solve is we want to streamline and we want to automate the deployment of these specialized services in the transportation industry, so that a fleet can get 24-hour support across the United States. Now, the question is, you may think that already exists. A lot of people say that. Right. When you do your homework, there's another part to the pie, right? I'll give you an example, mechanics. Mechanics, there's only about 260,000 of them that specialize in the heavy truck industry.
Got it.
So how do you get this small group to support over 15.5 million trucks that operate in the US, plus RVs, like 9 million of them, plus trailers, plus, right? So how do you do that? Well, we found that some of these mechanics are trying to start their own business, trying to reach out, trying to work part-time. So we stitched together a network of them across the US and manage them by means of a piece of software. And then every time a specialized person comes onto our platform, anytime a fleet goes through his region and something happens and they need his help or her help, that mechanic or that service provider is alerted. And then they're able to be dispatched right to that location, right on the highway or road.
So is it fair if I summarize this, and I may be using your own words here from a previous conversation we had, it's almost like a AAA for 18-wheelers and the big stuff.
Correct. But it's highly specialized in that you might have a system like a Caterpillar, right, that works on these large construction projects.
Yeah.
Fixes those when they break down.
Right.
Who does the welding? Who does the hydraulics? Who does the systems? And so many things are computerized. Who has the special ability to hook up the right equipment to analyze and diagnose these problems?
Right.
Problem is, across the US, it's very hard to find. And even if you try to use Google,
you're gonna spend a lot of time
who you're gonna get.
Yeah, that's fair. Cool. Can you talk a little bit about why focus on this? How did you stumble into this?
Years ago, I invested in a heavy truck repair business.
Got it.
When you look at your investments in your portfolio, you say, okay, well, this is new. It's an existing business that, or I should say, it's been around for years, right? We've delivered things by truck for years.
Right.
Everything in the United States, 70% of all goods and services, our food comes to a Walmart or whatever by truck. But these things break down. Mm-hmm. And the industry is supported by owner-operators, the majority of them, right? Small people that have a business that have 1 or 2 or 3 trucks and a couple of drivers, and they're small businesses, but they can't get the support, right? And what happened was, in the heavy truck industry, in the shop, I started to realize no one could give them the support that they needed.
Yeah.
they were on the road alone. So when they broke down, who did they call? Then I found out that the fleets were having the same problem. And then we found out that mechanics, they said, I'm great at what I do, but I'm horrible at running a business.
Yeah.
And at that point, I realized there was a niche there. We could help them with the business aspect. They could specialize in what they do best.
So let's talk a little bit about kind of where you're at now with the business. Maybe you can walk us through kind of from where you started to today, and then I'll follow. I might have a few questions there, but then, we can go on and kind of what you got planned for the future as well.
Sure. We spent, from the time we launched the business, we spent the first 3 to 4 months formalizing how the technology would support this type of operation, right? Could it go global? Could it be Ukraine? Did it have to be local? And then we ran, after we built it for the first 4 months, right? Minimum, we call it an MVP. Most technical people understand that as a minimum viable product. We decided to test, and we launched a small test, and in about 65 days, 300 plus mechanics signed up onto our network.
Amazing.
It overwhelmed us, honestly. And then we started to say, hey, we wanted to start slower because we realized being a new company, we have so many things to work out. We decided to work with a couple of mechanics just to see how the process would work, any challenges they might have, get the feedback we needed to really refine the process. Ultimately, we started getting jobs, and the mechanics started calling us, hey, you got more work. Can I do more for you? Can you send me more? I'm willing to work weekends. I want to start my own business. So it got really exciting.
Cool.
Somewhere during the process, we made a quick introduction to Allstate.
Yeah.
In Allstate, we gave them a presentation and we showed them our dashboard and our mobile app that's available in the iOS and Android store. And Allstate said, we've never seen anything like that.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's scary though.
Yeah, I bet.
Let's talk more. And so over, of course, about 7 to 9 months, we formed a relationship with them. We landed our first nationwide contract. Part of the effort with SMBX, as you know, is now we need to be able to scale with a company that's $40 billion in revenue. So we're working on a plan, and SMBX, the raise is intricate to that plan, how we scale, how we bring on the right people, taking our technology to the next level, automating some pieces with some machine learning and possibly artificial intelligence. It's exciting.
That's awesome. Congrats. That's I get goosebumps just hearing about it.
Yeah.
One of the things we were really talking about that I think is parallel to this is like the consumerization of IT. Right. You have all of these, and I think you were kind of touching about that at Allstate. Allstate probably has some version of a tool like this, but that was not built probably in the 1990s, right? And so there's this opportunity of kind of these like legacy systems that used to have multiple engineers kind of need to manage daily, right? And upkeep and all of this stuff. And people just kind of let them sit because they just ran in the background. And now there's kind of this opportunity to go layer the consumer side of it, the like Apple-y piece to make it simple, easy, accessible on your phone, all of these other pieces. Did you feel like that's parallel to kind of what you guys are doing here in terms of, the way you're working with Allstate?
Absolutely. The interesting thing is, without giving names, one part of Allstate had technology that was pretty on top of things, impressed with what they were doing. Another part of the organization had no infrastructure. So when we worked with that part of the organization, what we found was from the limited part that we worked with them, we were able to improve their process. And actually, I think some of their, what we call close rates for supporting people were around 18%, something low. It was very low, below 20%. Ours was anywhere from 67 to 85%. We could support the person and their vehicle from beginning to end and get a higher customer satisfaction rating. And so we realized that it was partially our competence in the area, and it was partially our technology that helped facilitate things. And that was giving them the success, giving us the success with them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But let's talk a little bit about you. Can you tell us a little bit about outside of the business? Who are you? Tell us a little bit about your family. Tell us a little bit about what you do with your free time. Who's the man behind the screen here?
So I'm involved in a lot of things. But one of the things that I haven't kept up as much as I'd love to is I used to volunteer at 3 of the local prisons here in New Jersey. And I think that experience is defining, right? When you can help people make a transition from one place into a different life and prepare yourself for the roadblocks.
Yeah.
I equate that to what's in the transportation industry, because if anybody has been in the transportation industry, you know it is not easy.
Yeah.
You can't fool yourself. You have to know your stuff and you have to learn continually. It's not even just having a base of knowledge is not enough. You have to have the right team, right? That knows how to diagnose a problem. I'll give you a quick example. One man, he was in a car, and this is part of a different situation that we ran into, with his pregnant wife, and his car broke down. He calls to get help and he can't find anyone. Now he's in a car. We specialize in heavy trucks, anything over 10,000 pounds, but he calls us. But guess what? We're able to assist that person because we understand. It's important to understand his condition, right? He has a pregnant wife in the middle of summer. He's broken down on what he needs is someone to get him a mechanic and to get his wife out of the heat, right? You can't drop the ball on that. So I feel like those tough circumstances, volunteering at prisons, my spare time, I like to create things. I'm always trying to build some sort of solution to solve a problem.
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
Cool. That's great. So let's talk a little bit more about this use of funds piece. You're raising $100,000. Can you explain kind of that use of funds and kind of what's this money going to be going towards?
Sure. Part of it is reorganizing some debt, right, to lower the cost of using money.
Yep.
A large portion of it we're going to dedicate to the technical aspect of advancing it. So we've started to partner with 2 of the largest tech companies in the world. And they are helping us out because they see we're pushing the envelope with certain technology pieces that we want to implement in our system. And that's exciting, right? When you have that kind of backing. After the technology, we're going to basically hire some resources that we need to start building the scale with Allstate, right? That's the easiest one because we have a contract. We have a second contract that they are ready for us to sign, but we won't do it without having the right people and pieces in place to execute.
Yeah, go out, execute on that first one, and then you're going to layer this second kind of opportunity on top of it.
Yeah, the other part that's really important is the marketing. Marketing and sales cannot be underestimated, right? A lot of companies, they use it as a second string quarterback, so to speak. It's vital to the business. If you're not positioned in the marketplace, we want to be defensible. We want to be able to take this market and we want to be able to set ourselves up where we are the primary vendor for these types of services. If an organization wants to outsource their dispatch, driver operations, some of the mechanical preventative maintenance services, we want to be the team that goes out and gets those services, organizes it, gets the best price, and then has that relationship with the drivers such that they know if they pick up the phone or use the app, someone will be there with an answer.
Right. Let's say folks invest. They might put in $10, you might put in 1,000 or 10,000. After they invest, what do you need from your investors? They've given you their money. How can they kind of support the growth of this business outside of funding? What are you thinking there?
I'll give you a couple of examples. One, we want to be tied to our investors in a more personal way. So primarily if they have needs, for example, some organizations may say, hey, look, I'm a small company, I'm investing, not investing a lot, but one of the problems I've identified is I don't know when my delivery of services will show up at my organization. We actually have a solution for that. So imagine this, if all of the vendors that they purchase from, that they get deliveries from, become part of our network, we can actually start providing them insights, right? When deliveries are delayed. I noticed this, and I'll focus on it because the supply chain for food in the United States was severely affected by COVID.
Yeah.
The impact we can have is that we can manage hundreds and thousands of vendors in a single network, in a single place. That gives us the ability to, if someone invests and they have their own business and they're getting deliveries, we can give them tidbits of information. Your delivery will arrive in such and such. You need to have this prepared. Or how about this? This driver has had his COVID test, so you can have some degree of assurance that when he shows up, he's not infecting your organization. These are just little ideas. We also want to hear not just introductions. We want problems. Right. We want to hear, hey, I've had this issue and it seems to be repetitive. Do you think there's something you can do to help us?
Yeah.
We think that there's some aspects of our technology that can apply to every business. Or what if there's one business that wants to use our platform for themselves privately? We have a way of actually leasing that out to, and if they're an investor of ours, we're going to treat them special.
Don't I know it? Don't I know it? You chose to do a bond offering here. You had a lot of other options, from angel investors, right, to equity crowdfunding. Why SMBX? Kind of talk through us a little bit about kind of that decision to wrap us up.
Couple of reasons. I think first and foremost, we believe that the SMBX platform allows people to invest in their local communities. I mean, how many organizations do that anymore? Most of them get outsourced somewhere else, right? So we feel that reinvestment in the local community is key to a lot of this economic recovery. Selfishly, I believe that SMBX, the platform itself, allows us to maintain the control that we need right now over the initial stages of our company. We don't know what the future holds. We could become a global organization where that changes the game. But right now, it's important for us to stay on the ground, grounded, modest and humble, and continue working. If you're in the local community, we should be there touching them as well.
Awesome. I love it. That wraps us up. So thanks for joining us. And thank you, Aaron, for sharing your story and the story of 24-hour truck services. Your bonds are now available, so everybody go out and invest.